What's up guys, it's Gaz. Welcome to the Warframe video. So today we're going over the Stahlta, which is a weapon that was introduced in the Deadlock protocol. It was pretty much the only primary weapon besides the primary kit guns introduced in that update. And we're going to go over it. I'm going to show how it works. I'm going to show how you get it. Actually, I'm just going to tell you how to get it. And then I'm going to let you know my opinions on it. Pretty much, like, I thought I was going to love this thing when I heard what it was when they showed on the dev stream. Because it's basically a half full auto assault rifle, and the other half of it is a, I guess I'd call it like a mini rocket launcher. It's got an AoE blast on the secondary shot with a lot of damage, and it's got decent crit. They actually did the math properly, so if you put on point strike on there, you actually get a 100% crit chance on the charge shot. The primary shot is definitely not as crit focused. It's more of a status full auto kind of thing, and the secondary explosive shot takes 20 bullets per blast, and we have 40 round magazine. That's where the big problem with this weapon comes from, in my opinion, is you're going to be reloading it a lot, and if you fire off a couple of the full auto shots before you do the super shot, it's actually going to, you might end up reloading when you don't want to. So here's how it performs. So just holding down the button. This is with vital acceleration on the build, which I do recommend because it's the secondary shot is just a lot slower if you don't have fire rate on there. And here's the the explosive shot. So charge time, then release. You can actually roll or do something like that to interrupt the charge time if you want to. Relatively fast reload, which is good because you'll be reloading it a lot. So here's the annoyance I was talking about here. So I'm gonna fire one shot off, and here I am firing off a couple just like to kill some like fodder enemies. Well, here I want to shoot the mega shot. Oh, I have to reload again because just like the Quellour, it's going to make you, if you try to do the secondary shot when you can't actually because you don't have enough bullets, it's going to force you to reload it. So here's the build I'm going to recommend. If you really like this weapon, you can actually put on more formas to fit on 90% elementals, such as Infected Clip, Stormbringer, Prime Cryo if you want to. Another thing to keep in mind is that the explosive from the secondary shot actually has innate radiation damage. So if you want it for corrosive, you'll have corrosive and radiation, good against both types of armor. And if you were to do something like a viral hunter munitions build, you'll have viral and radiation. Relatively good damage types, especially against bombards. And as I mentioned earlier, with just point strike, you're going to be having 100% crit chance. And with Vital Sense, 6.6 multiplier, really high crit stats there. Especially because the Riven Dispo is bottom tier on this thing. Because, you know, thinking about what the actual number would be way too much work. So maybe in the future, they'll think about it for more than 5 seconds. But yeah, let's quickly show the corrosive build. Then I'll show the hunter munitions build. And then we'll show with Harrow, just buffing the crap out of it. And then we'll do a mission. Because I honestly don't really like this thing as much in missions. Actually, let's take off Arcane Avenger. There are some things on Harrow that would definitely buff it up more than it's supposed to be right now. Just take that off real quick. We will go full buff mode in a second, though, so don't you worry. Let's start off at level 50, actually. And the thing is, like, this thing, it can be pretty fun. I'm not going to deny that it can be pretty fun. So let's do the full auto shot on some of these guys with corrosive. That was about 3 bullets, and I missed a couple of them. So shred through them with the status-based shot. Let's get a bomb shot in there. So in a large area, blows them up. 5 bullets was enough to kill at level 50. And it is proccing a lot of stuff, actually, so relatively nice. Let's do a level 100 test here. And against level 175s, it's not going to really do as much damage without the hunter munitions. A lot of primaries do want slash procs to help them out at high levels. So there's the mega shot, just blowing them up with base damage right there. Pretty nice. Another one. As you saw, those are all yellow crits. We have the vigilante. Supplies on here. Gonna give us some orange crits 5% of the time, but it's definitely not gonna happen very often. So just keep that one in mind. 35,000 on the explosion there. Chain them up so they can just not get out of here. Proccing some slash there. That's not 100 missions proc. 100 missions procs will be much larger. And as you can see, we also have a pretty large ammo pool here, which is nice because things like the Quellour chew through ammo. Because unlike the Quellour, this thing only takes 20 bullets per shot. The Quellour on its mega shot, which is a similar weapon, has a status-based full auto mode, and a AoE focused semi-auto mode is crit. It's kind of a similar situation. I kind of like the Quellar a little bit more, just because it can fire 4 shots with the Mega Blaster before you're actually having to reload. But, you know, this thing has really nice sound effects, and the Quellars, I guess the Quellar sound effects are nice too, but, you know, I kind of like this. I kind of like the Stalta sound effects slightly more, just personally. Okay, so we'll switch to 100 munitions here in a moment. There's me having to reload because I didn't have enough bullets. And yeah, it could get the job done at these levels, but realize I am going for headshots right now. A body shot with the explosive shot, not as powerful, but you know. So yeah, as far as like me recommending this thing, I'd say I don't really recommend this. It can be fun, and maybe you might like it, but as I said, there's a couple of problems with it. I find the magazine to be a huge issue, and unfortunately, even if you put on some magazine mods, you can't actually get it to where you're going to have like a third mega shot. I guess you technically can put on Tainted Mag and Wildfire, but that just sounds like a big waste of mod slots. Maybe a reload mod would change that. So we're going to do Viral 100 munitions. No Bane mod on here because it doesn't really need a Bane mod. A Bane mod would definitely be ridiculous if you were to do that, but I'm probably not going to be using this thing very much longer, so that's just how I'm looking at it right now. So still no Sentinel stat stick, anything like that. So you're not going to be getting any red crits here. So you see the pretty good 100 munitions proc. The AoE 100 munitions proc is definitely a lot weaker. But that's just how it is in this game. With damage fall off. Remember, we used to have like full damage in the entire explosion of these kind of guns in the past, but that was changed this year to actually have radial damage fall off from the point of impact. So AoE weapons are a little bit weaker in some regard, but you don't get self-damage anymore. Oh yeah, you keep in mind, if you don't have Prime Sure-Footed equipped, this thing does do self-stagger. So, the full auto, pretty good at 100 munitions, even with the low crit chance, because you get lots of viral procs from all that status. So, relatively okay. It's an all-rounder weapon, I'd call it. Let's do some Harrow buffs. Let's put Avenger back on, just get some ridiculous stuff to go off. And then we'll hop into that mission. Okay, so Avenger. We could even take off the fire rate mod for a Bane mod, but I think we'll be okay. So we're going to use Harrow's 4th ability, which gives us a bunch of extra crit chance on headshots. Also going to use the 2nd ability, Penance, gives you fire rate and reload speed. So we will fire off these mega shots really fast. Alright, 175s. You can use infinite energy pads in Simulacrum. Not sure if you guys knew that. I didn't know that for a while. Alright, and here we go. So, they don't know what's going to be about to hit them, but it's going to be pretty nasty. There's a red crit. And that slash proc is doing 17,000. I've seen better. Still, relatively okay. Reloading instantly pretty much with Harrow. I don't usually do these kinds of things in the Simulacrum, but you know, I felt like this weapon was appropriate for that. And that's a status-based shot right there, just tearing through him with slash procs. As you see when the red crits go away, a little bit less crazy, but definitely very powerful. So, yeah, so let's hop into that mission gameplay, and then I'll tell you guys how to get this thing. And we're going to be playing the mission on Wisp, because I can take off the fire rate mod. I know I'm running corrosive 100 munitions on accident here. That's definitely not what you want to run. I would normally recommend, whenever you're running 100 munitions, to always be running viral, or to be running no elementals at all. So you could run just more damage and crit mods instead of those elemental mods on this build. So, the way you get this thing is the blueprint comes from the Jackal on Venus. And it's a pretty low drop chance for his blueprint, for the blueprint for this thing to drop. But it does technically, I've gotten like 3 or 4 of them actually at this point. And do be aware that the Kuva Lich can actually steal the blueprint from you. That's what happened to me the first time I got the blueprint to drop, and I got really annoyed, and I went and killed the Kuva Lich immediately after that. Even though I was saving that Kuva Lich for Nightwave, for that challenge we're never going to get to, I guess, because DE is afraid of pissing off Reddit. But, yeah, so here's the fire rate without Wisp buff, and then we put on the Wisp moat buff, and it's much faster. I think it's like a, what is it, 47% increase in speed, so pretty nice. I do recommend Vial Acceleration just because the amount of bang for your buck you get fire rate wise from Vial Acceleration versus something like speed trigger. Like, you don't need speed. Like, you don't need vital acceleration. You could honestly run Vigilante Fervor, which is another Vigilante mod going to increase your yellow crits to orange crits. That's a pretty good fire rate mod for this thing. I wouldn't blame you for putting that on here. But I usually just run vital acceleration. It makes it so much faster. 90% versus 45% on Vigilante Fervor. So yeah, you get the blueprint from the Jackal. Good luck getting that. And then the parts come from the Granum Void, that new mini game they added to Corpus missions on the Corpus tile set. You're gonna need to get, there's one part per tier of Granum Void. So the low level one's gonna give you one of the parts, middle one of the parts, and the high level one will give you one of the parts as well. I'm also using the Stropha, I think it's called in this mission, the new gunblade that came out this this update. But like I said multiple times, it's just bugged. The heavy attacks do the same amount of damage as a light attack for some reason. It just doesn't seem like it's proccing properly, status procs on the shots. So I'm definitely gonna hold off on that thing. I was actually thinking that thing would be the new Eidolon meta, but it has extremely aggressive damage fall off as well, so I would not recommend the Stropha to you at all, but you'll probably get the parts for it while you're farming for the Stalta, because the blueprint's also going to come from the Jackal, as are the parts going to be coming from the Granum Boar. So, yeah, so about this weapon, like I said, I wouldn't really recommend it necessarily, unless you want it for some reason. The ribbons are trash. It can do pretty good work, but you're gonna be, hope you like reloading, because you will be reloading probably like 20 times per mission with this thing. And yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. Although it does do good damage. Don't get me wrong. Don't let me not liking this thing dissuade you from building it, especially because you do get mastery out of it, of course. Oh, I forgot to upload the Mastery Rank 29 video. Or that'll come out in the next week at least. But pretty much, like, I don't want to call it Mastery Fodder because it is powerful, but it just feels like they were a little bit gun-shy at making this thing like the new, like, best primary. When the Exultra came out, a lot of times I would tell people, like, oh, Exultra is one of the best primaries in the game. I would not call this one of the best primaries in the game, personally. I feel like there's too many inconvenient parts about it where you have to reload all the time. You kind of want to run a fire rate mod because the charge rate is so slow on the secondary fire. And, you know, it's okay against nullifier bubbles, but then again, you're running into that magazine size issue I was talking about earlier, where you only got 40 rounds in the magazine, shoots through it relatively fast, and yeah, I wouldn't say I'd really use this for a long period of time. My go-to primaries currently, I use the Shadu, I use the Kuva Karak, I use the Amprex, and I haven't really been using the Kuva Bramma as much lately, but that was one of my go-tos for a while. Oh, I've also been using, what's that? I got a Godroll Paris Prime ribbon, so I've been using that too. But that's just been for jokes, kind of. So, as you can see from the gameplay, it does what it needs to do, but yeah, like I said in the chat, it feels like they just tried to balance it a lot, and it kind of like makes the weapon suffer slightly, especially with the ribbons. As I mentioned earlier, the Quelor is a similar situation where if you're going to push the alt-fire button, you're going to charge up a mega shot, and comparatively, the Quelor is going to be doing a lot more damage per shot, but it's not explosive, so I guess that might make it a little bit different. So the Quelor actually has decent ribbons still, and you do, like, this is honestly, I think it's the same exact build as the Stalta, but it's actually running a decent ribbon. So this thing can definitely do the same situation, like one shot these guys with a viral hunter munitions proc to the head. I'm not even going to be using Harrow. I guess I got Avenger equipped. We got pretty unlucky there. It is definitely an RNG coin flip if you get hunter munitions procs with this weapon, but I mean, I don't know. I kind of just like this one more, and this isn't even like a good weapon necessarily. So that's basically it for the video, guys. To be honest, been a little bit bored with Warframe lately. The new update didn't really last very long. I'd say it was probably like about 5 hours of content, including the primary kit, or not including the primary kit guns, but the primary kit guns were pretty much just leveling a bunch, and I don't really consider leveling content. So yeah, a little bit unfortunate. They like spent a lot of time developing this, and we just blazed through it like instantly. So there will be a video coming out this week on some ideas for long-term sustainable grind in Warframe. But they're also, hopefully we get a Protea buff like either today or tomorrow. Let's see if I'm gonna check right now if they buffed Protea since I started recording this. They have not buffed Protea. It is Tuesday at 3:30 almost, and they have not buffed Protea. So yeah, also do keep in mind, starting in July there will be less videos on the channel just because I'm going to be having some life changes and my time will be divided to other stuff. So either way, if you like the weapon, you like the weapon. I wouldn't blame you for using it. It's fun, got nice sound effects, good AOE. It's not the second coming of the Bramma. It's not going to replace the Amprex for me. It's not going to replace the Shedu for me. I do think that I still think the Bramma is better than this. Of course, it's different. The Bramma is not going to break a Nully bubble. Like, this thing could technically break a Nully bubble, but I'd rather just go with the other stuff. Especially, the Shedu is annoying to get, but I think the Shedu is better than this too. So, either way, guys, I'll talk to you next time. Protea video, complaining videos, you know how it is on this channel, and peace.